There is a crisis in our generation, and it is not a crisis of information. We have more books, more podcasts, more videos, more words than any people who ever lived. Yet we also have more confusion, more broken relationships, more misunderstood intentions. Why? Because having something to say is not the same as knowing how to say it. Communication is not a talent, it is a responsibility. And if you don't master it, your life will be mastered by it. Let me ask you a question that might disturb you a little. How many doors have you watched close? Not because you lacked ability, but because you lacked clarity. How many opportunities died? Not because you were unqualified, but because you were unreadable. How many people misjudged your heart because your mouth could not translate what your spirit meant? You see, the world doesn't reward intention, it rewards communication. People cannot follow what they cannot understand. And in a kingdom, confusion is expensive. In the beginning, the first thing God did was speak. He didn't build first, he didn't move first, he spoke first. Let there be, and whatever he said became. That means words are not decorations. Words are containers. Words carry life, or they carry death. Words create atmospheres. Words establish culture. Words can frame a future or fracture a family. So if you want to speak smart, you don't start with vocabulary. You start with purpose. Because the power of your communication is never greater than the clarity of your assignment. This is why powerful communication is psychology and spirituality working together. The mind hears before the heart follows. People don't reject you first, they reject the version of you they perceive through your words. Communication is perception management. It is leadership, it is stewardship, and if you are sent to influence your home, your work, your community, your generation, then you must learn to speak in a way that carries authority, not noise. So today, I'm not here to teach you how to sound impressive. I'm here to teach you how to become effective. Because smart speaking is not about sounding smart. Smart speaking is about making others think clearly, feel safely, and move wisely. I want to give you 5 principles that will change the way you communicate forever if you apply them, not admire them. Because principles don't work when you hear them. They work when you live them. Purpose governs language. That is not a motivational phrase, that is a law. And every time you violate a law, you don't break the law breaks you. When purpose is not known, communication is abused. You can have a mouthful of words and a life empty of results because your words are not serving an assignment. You're talking, but you're not producing. You're speaking, but you're not building. And in the kingdom, words were never given to entertain time. Words were given to execute purpose. Let me ask you a question that you must answer honestly, not emotionally. Why are you speaking? Not what are you saying, why are you saying it? What are you trying to create in the person listening to you? What outcome are you responsible for? Because until your why is clear, your what will be confused. Many people talk to be heard, talk to be liked, talk to win, talk to defend pride, talk to impress strangers, talk to cover insecurity. They think communication is self-expression. But true communication is not self-expression, it is purpose expression, it is assignment expression, it is stewardship of meaning. The first evidence of purpose is direction, and direction is what your mouth must carry. Look at God. Before he made anything, he spoke, and he didn't speak poetry to fill silence. He spoke purpose to form reality. Let there be, and there was. His words were not sound, they were seeds. His voice released a plan. That means communication is creative power when it is aligned with purpose. So if the Creator uses words to create, and you are made in his image, then every time you speak without purpose, you are wasting one of the most divine abilities you possess. You cannot separate language from intention. A plane does not take off because it is beautiful. It takes off because it was designed for flight. But if you don't know the purpose of the plane, you will abuse it. You might try to drive it like a car. You might live in it like a house. You might store furniture in it like a warehouse. and then you will call the plane defective when the problem was never the plane, the problem was your ignorance of its purpose. In the same way, if you don't know why your words exist, you will misuse them. You will turn conversation into combat. You will turn correction into condemnation. You will turn discussion into competition. You will turn your gift into noise. Purpose is the governor. It tells your tongue what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and even what not to say. That last part is important. People who don't know purpose say everything they feel. People who know purpose say only what serves the mission. That is maturity. That is wisdom. That is smart communication. You don't speak because you have the right to speak. You speak because you have a responsibility to produce something good through your speech. Some of you are wondering why your relationships feel heavy, why your workplace doesn't understand you, why your children don't listen, why your leadership is resisted. Could it be that your language has not been governed by purpose? You are saying true things at the wrong time. You are saying right things in the wrong tone. You are saying urgent things without direction. You are speaking out of emotion, not out of assignment. And the tragedy is that your intentions might be pure, but your communication is not purposeful. So the outcome becomes painful. Hear me clearly. Purpose makes your communication intelligent. Purpose gives your words precision. Without purpose, words become random bullets. They hit everything except the target. With purpose, words become arrows aimed, measured, and effective. Jesus never spoke to display knowledge. He spoke to reveal the Father and restore people to their design. When he confronted, it was purposeful. When he comforted, it was purposeful. When he taught, it was purposeful. Even his silence was purposeful. That is mastery. That is authority. That is kingdom communication. Do you have that kind of control over your mouth, or does your mouth control you? So before you speak, discipline yourself to ask, what am I sent to accomplish in this moment? Am I sent to heal, to clarify, to lead, to correct, to inspire, to reconcile, to warn, to build faith? If you don't define your destination, your conversation will drift, and drifting conversations create drifting lives. But purposeful conversations create intentional futures. I want you to remember this. Your words must serve your purpose, not your ego. Your communication must protect your assignment, not your mood. Your mouth is not a microphone for your feelings. It is a messenger for your destiny. Speak with purpose. Speak on purpose. Speak for a purpose. And watch your words stop being noise and start becoming power. That is how you speak smart. That is how you speak with authority. That is how you speak like someone who knows why they were born. Authority comes from alignment, not volume. That is a principle, and it will save your life if you learn it early. Because many people think power is a matter of decibels. They think the louder you get, the more weight your words carry. They think if they raise their voice, they raise their authority. But you can shout and still be ignored. You can scream and still be empty. You can be loud and still be powerless. Volume does not create authority. Alignment does. Let me ask you something. Have you ever listened to someone who spoke softly, yet the whole room leaned in? Have you ever watched a person say just a few words, and those words rearranged people's decisions? That is not personality. That is not charisma. That is authority. And authority is always the result of a life that matches the message. When your words and your walk agree, your voice gains weight. When your mouth and your manner conflict, your voice loses credibility. People don't follow noise. They follow consistency. They don't submit to your vocabulary. They submit to your alignment. Think about how God operates. The Bible says God is not a man that he should lie. That means his words and his nature are one. Whatever he says, he is. Whatever he promises, he performs. There is no gap between his speech and his character. That's why heaven responds instantly to his voice. Creation does not debate God because creation recognizes alignment. When God speaks, reality moves because his authority is rooted in who he is. So if you are made in his image, then the authority of your communication will never exceed the integrity of your life. Your tongue can't carry what your character cannot support. You see, authority is like currency. It's backed by value. A piece of paper called money only has power because a government stands behind it. Without backing, it's just paper. In the same way, your words have power only when there is a government behind them. The government of conviction, the government of truth, the government of consistency. If your life doesn't back your words become paper with no value. You can print it all day, but nobody will spend it. That's why some people talk and people nod politely, but nothing changes. The message has no backing. Look at a police officer standing in the middle of traffic. He doesn't have muscles big enough to stop a truck. He doesn't have a voice loud enough to compete with engines. Yet he lifts his hand and vehicles obey. Why? Because the authority is not in his volume, it is in his alignment with the government he represents. He is aligned with a system greater than himself. So his whisper carries more weight than your shouting because his words are backed. That's the psychology of authority. That's the kingdom of authority. It is not personal force. It is delegated power supported by alignment. So when you speak, people are not only hearing your sentences, they are hearing your life. They are asking unconsciously, do you live what you teach? Do you practice what you preach? Are you the same in private as you are in public? And if the answer is no, your volume becomes noise. The louder you get, the more they resist, because you are trying to compensate for what alignment should have produced naturally. When alignment is missing, you push. When alignment is present, you don't have to push. Authority pulls. Some of you are frustrated because you feel unheard. You say, nobody takes me seriously. But let's go deeper. Is it possible that your words are strong, but your habits are weak? Your advice is sharp, but your discipline is dull? Your speech is confident, but your lifestyle is careless? Authority is not a performance you turn on when it's your turn to talk. Authority is a result you carry because your life is in order. Jesus is our model. Crowd said, he teaches as one having authority, not like the others. Why? Because his words came from alignment with the Father. He didn't speak for attention. He spoke from union. He didn't preach for applause. He preached from purpose. He wasn't trying to prove himself. He was revealing the kingdom. So demons trembled, not because he yelled, but because heaven backed him. That's alignment. That's why even when he was silent before his accusers, the silence had authority. Silence can be powerful when alignment is present. Noise is powerless when alignment is absent. Now hear this carefully. Alignment is not perfection. Alignment is integrity. It is the honest agreement between what you believe, what you say, and how you live. People can forgive weakness. They can forgive growth, but they struggle to follow contradiction. A leader who says, be on time, but is always late, loses authority. A parent who says, tell the truth, but lies casually, loses authority. A spouse who says, trust me, but hides things, loses authority. The issue is not the instruction. The issue is misalignment. And misalignment is expensive. So the psychology of powerful communication is this. Your life is your loudest language. Your habits interpret your speech. Your character amplifies your words. If you want to speak with authority, align your inner world with your outer message. Align your private choices with your public statements. Align your spirit with the kingdom you claim to represent. Because when alignment is present, you don't need to raise your voice. Your presence raises the impact. Stop trying to sound powerful. Become powerful through alignment. Stop trying to demand respect. Earn credibility through consistency. Stop increasing volume. Increase backing. And watch your words carry weight without strain, influence without manipulation, authority without shouting. That is smart speaking. That is kingdom communication. That is how your voice becomes a force. Clarity is kindness, and confusion is cruelty. That is not just a social tip. That is a kingdom principle. Because in the kingdom, words were never designed to hide reality. Words were designed to reveal it. When God spoke, darkness did not get more complicated. Darkness disappeared. Light came, order came, meaning came. So if your communication produces fog instead of light, then your words are not serving the nature of the one who gave you the gift of speech. Let me ask you a question that might expose something in you. Why do you want people to figure you out after you speak? Why do you expect them to decode your meaning like a puzzle? Do you think confusion makes you deep? Do you think complexity makes you intelligent? Listen to me carefully. If people leave a conversation with you more uncertain than when they arrived, you didn't communicate, you performed. And performance is not leadership. Performance is pride dressed as intelligence. You see, smart speaking is not about showing people how much you know. Smart speaking is about helping people understand what they need to know. There is a difference. Anyone can sound impressive. Anyone can throw big words in the air like confetti. But a true communicator is a translator of purpose. A true communicator takes a thought from the invisible realm of your mind and makes it visible in the mind of another person. That is your responsibility. That is stewardship. Because communication is not complete when you have spoken. Communication is complete when they have understood. That is why I say clarity is kindness. Because clarity respects people. Clarity says, I value your time. I value your emotions. I value your ability to act on what I'm saying. Confusion doesn't respect people. Confusion makes people anxious. Confusion wastes time. Confusion creates fear. Confusion creates distance. And many relationships are not broken by hatred. They are broken by unclear speech. Many leaders are not resisted because people are rebellious. They're resisted because the vision is cloudy. Many homes are not cold because love is absent. They are cold because communication is confusing. Think about this in real life. If I hand you a medicine bottle with no label, no instructions, no dosage, and I say just take it, that is not care, that is cruelty. You could take too much and harm yourself. You could take too little and stay sick. You might mix it with something dangerous. The medicine might be helpful, but confusion makes it risky. In the same way, your words might be true, but if they are unclear, they become dangerous. People can't live on what they can't understand. The Bible says, if the trumpet gives an uncertain sound, who shall prepare for battle? That is scripture, and it is also psychology. An uncertain sound produces an unprepared people. When leaders speak vaguely, people drift. When parents speak ambiguously, children grow insecure. When spouses speak indirectly, trust weakens. When teachers speak in riddles, students fail. The uncertain trumpet is not mysterious, it is irresponsible. And hear this, clarity begins in your own mind before it ever reaches your mouth. If your thinking is muddy, your speaking will be muddy. If your thoughts are scattered, your sentences will be scattered. Many people blame language, but the problem is not language, the problem is lack of understanding. If you don't understand what you believe, you will explain it poorly. If you are not clear about your vision, you will communicate it weakly. Great communicators are not great because they use big words. Great communicators are great because they think clearly. Jesus is our example again. He was carrying the deepest truths ever released to humanity, but he spoke them in ways farmers, fishermen, mothers, children, scholars, and sinners could grasp. He didn't reduce truth, he revealed it. He used seeds, houses, coins, bread, weddings, storms. Why? Because clarity is kingdom love. He wanted the listener to have a doorway into the truth, not a wall to climb over. That is why his words lasted. That is why his teaching produced movement. Clarity is not weakness. Clarity is mastery. Now let me confront something gently but firmly. Some people hide behind complexity because they are afraid of being tested. If you speak simply, people can examine your idea. If you speak clearly, people can challenge your logic. If you speak plainly, your knowledge is exposed. So pride chooses confusion as a shield, but a true leader is not afraid of clarity. A true leader welcomes understanding. A true leader wants people to see, because if they see, they can follow. And you must remember this: people don't follow confusion, they follow clarity. They don't commit to cloudy visions, they commit to clear assignments. They don't trust people who speak in smoke, they trust people who speak in light. That is why clarity is kindness. It gives people safety, it gives people direction, it gives people confidence to move. Confusion does the opposite. Confusion paralyzes. Confusion irritates. Confusion divides. So, disciplined communicators do a simple thing before they speak. They ask, can I say this in a way a child could understand? Not because the audience is childish, but because the truth deserves respect. If you can't explain it simply, don't blame your audience. Go back and learn it again. Because clarity is evidence of ownership. Clarity is proof of mastery. Clarity is power under control. I want you to take responsibility for the sound of your trumpet. Make it certain, make it clear, make it kind. Speak so people can think. Speak so people can feel safe. Speak so people can act wisely. Clarity is kindness, confusion is cruelty, and your destiny is too important to be hidden behind unclear words. Speak with light and watch your influence grow. Emotion opens the door. Structure carries the message. That is a principle. And if you ignore it, you will spend your life talking to people who never move, listening to you but never changing, hearing you but never following, because human beings are not robots. God did not design us to respond to information alone. He designed us to respond to meaning. The mind is a gate, but the heart is a house. If you want to enter someone's house, you must first pass through the gate. Emotion opens the gate. Structure furnishes the house. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard something that was true, but it did not touch you? It was correct, but it was cold. It was accurate, but it was dry. And you walked away with your life exactly the same. Why? Because truth without connection is like rain on a rock. It falls, but it doesn't soak. Emotion is not manipulation. Emotion is connection. It is the bridge between your thoughts and their attention. It is how you invite a person to care long enough to understand. Look at Jesus. He didn't just give lectures. He told stories. He didn't only deliver facts. He delivered pictures. He made people feel the truth before they could explain the truth. He spoke about a father running to a lost son, a shepherd searching for one sheep, a widow counting coins, a seed dying to grow, a storm on a lake. Why? Because emotion opens the door. People don't remember data first. They remember what moved them. They don't follow logic first. They follow trust. So if you want to communicate powerfully, you must learn how to reach the heart without losing the mind. But hear me carefully, because this is where many people fail. Emotion alone is not enough. Emotion without structure is a fire with no fireplace. It burns the house. It excites people for a moment, then leaves ashes. You've seen it speakers who can make you shout, make you cry, make you feel something strong. But when the meeting ends, nobody knows what to do. They were stirred, but they were not guided. Emotion opened the door, but there was nothing inside to keep them. That is why structure is necessary. Structure is the rails that allow the train of emotion to reach its destination. Structure is not stiffness. Structure is wisdom. It is knowing where you are taking people. A pilot doesn't fly by feeling. He flies by a flight plan. A builder doesn't construct by excitement. He follows a blueprint. In the same way, a communicator must have a path. You must know your beginning, your middle, your end. You must know the problem, the principle, and the practice. You must know how to hook attention, how to build understanding, and how to demand a decision. If you don't provide structure, your listener will supply their own, and they will often misunderstand you. The psychology is simple. Emotion creates readiness. Structure creates retention. Emotion says, listen to this, structure says, here is how to live this. Emotion is the spark. Structure is the engine. Emotion makes people lean in. Structure makes people walk out with direction. And a kingdom communicator is not satisfied with applause. A kingdom communicator is looking for fruit, not claps, but change. Not cheers, but choices. Not excitement, but execution. So ask yourself before you speak, am I only trying to move them, or am I trying to lead them? Am I giving them a moment, or am I giving them a map? Am I creating a feeling, or am I creating a future? Because the goal of communication is not reaction, it is transformation. And transformation requires both heart and mind working together. Master this principle, and your words will stop being temporary inspiration and start becoming lasting instruction. Touch the heart so they open up. Guide the mind so they grow up. Emotion opens the door, structure carries the message. Use both, and your communication will not just sound powerful, it will produce power. Good luck and thank you. Words are seeds, and every time you open your mouth, you are sowing into someone's future. That is not a metaphor to sound poetic. That is how life works. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue, and that's because the tongue is a planter. It drops something into the soil of a person's mind, and that soil does not stay empty. It receives, it holds, it grows, and it produces after its kind. So the question is not whether your words are producing fruit. The question is, what kind of fruit are you producing every day? Let me ask you something straight. If I could collect every sentence you spoke this week and plant it in one field, what harvest would come out of that field? Would it be peace or pressure? Would it be courage or confusion? Would it be hope or suspicion? Because you are always planting. You don't get a day off from sowing. Silence can sow. Tone can sow. Jokes can sow. Complaints can sow. And seeds don't need your permission to grow. They only need a place to land. That's why powerful communicators are intentional communicators. They don't speak carelessly because they understand the law of the seed. A farmer doesn't walk into his land with a bag of seed and throw it in the wind just because he feels like scattering. He knows that every seed is a future. Every seed is a responsibility. Every seed is a prediction. If you keep planting corn, don't pray for wheat. If you keep planting criticism, don't expect loyalty. If you keep planting sarcasm, don't be shocked when intimacy dies. If you keep planting fear, don't wonder why nobody tries. Seeds reproduce after their kind. Speech creates ecosystems. Look at Jesus again. When he spoke to people, he wasn't just handing them information. He was planting identity. He told fishermen, "Follow me and I will make you." That's seed language. He looked at a man who had been defined by failure and said, "Your sins are forgiven." That's seed language. He looked at a woman who was condemned by a crowd and said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." That's seed language. His words didn't just describe life, they produce life. Kingdom words always carry a future inside them. And hear this. The seed you plant today may not look powerful in the moment, but it is powerful in the outcome. Seeds are small, but harvests are loud. One sentence from a parent can echo in a child for 30 years. One careless label from a teacher can shape the ceiling of a student's confidence. One gentle word from a friend can pull a man back from quitting. One honorable sentence in a marriage can restore trust that months of arguments destroyed. Why? Because seeds work quietly, but they work faithfully. So don't treat conversation like entertainment. Treat it like agriculture. Ask before you speak, what am I planting in this person right now? Am I planting faith or am I planting doubt? Am I planting understanding or am I planting accusation? Am I planting vision or am I planting stress? Because your mouth is not just expressing your feelings, it is building someone's environment. You are either cultivating a garden or spreading weeds. Some of you want better relationships, better teams, better homes, better influence. Then change your seed. You cannot curse people and expect them to flourish around you. You cannot sow dishonor and harvest respect. You cannot plant chaos and pray for order. The harvest is not against you. The harvest is answering your seed. If you want a different future, use different words. Plant deliberately, plant consistently, plant like you expect a harvest. Words are seeds. Speak like a farmer of destiny. Speak like a builder of futures. Speak on purpose, and you will reap on purpose. Good luck, and thank you. Now, as I bring this to a close, I want you to remember what we have established today. Smart speaking is not a trick. Powerful communication is not a performance. It is a kingdom responsibility. Your mouth is not a toy. It is a tool. It was given to you to release purpose, to carry authority, to create clarity, to move hearts with meaning, and to plant seeds that shape futures. And if you handle it casually, you will live with casual results. But if you handle it with mastery, you will step into a new level of influence. Purpose must govern your language. Authority must come from alignment, not volume. Clarity must become your habit because confusion is expensive. Emotion must open doors, but structure must lead people through them. And every word you speak must be intentional because words are seeds. These are not suggestions, these are laws. And laws don't change because you ignore them. They work when you work them, they produce when you practice them. So here is my challenge to you. Don't leave this message as a listener, leave as an applicator. Start this week with your own mouth. Before you speak, ask, what is my purpose in this moment? When you speak, make sure your life backs your words. After you speak, check if clarity was received. Learn to connect the heart and guide the mind, and plant only what you want to harvest. Do this in your home. Do this in your work. Do this in your friendships. Do this in your leadership. Because the future you want is on the other side of the words you choose. I believe you are called to influence your world. I believe you were designed to carry wisdom, to bring life, to speak with power that heals, builds, and directs. But that will not happen by accident. It will happen by decision. It will happen by discipline. It will happen by you taking charge of your communication the way a king takes charge of his territory. Master your words, and you will master doors. Master your words, and you will master relationships. Master your words, and you will master impact. Now go and speak on purpose. Speak with alignment. Speak with clarity. Speak with heart and structure. Speak like a sower of destiny, and watch your life begin to respond to your voice. Good luck, and thank you.